Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, July 28th. I'm running a little bit late because I was actually talking to Dr. Ryan Yamka before the show. We got into a little conversation, so got a lot of information for you tonight. We're going to talk about a new product, and also we're going to talk about that product that everyone's been waiting for that finally hit the shelf, the vegan bar. We're going to talk about that tonight as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us again. And I know that we missed last week. I was actually on vacation, so I didn't have a show last week. But I'm very excited for this show. Everyone's been asking them to come back on. So we have Dr. Ryan Yamka once again, fan favorite. How's it going, Ryan?
It's going well. How about yourself?
It's going great. So for those who don't know you, who didn't get to watch the last episode, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Dr. Ryan Yamka. I go by Ryan. The doctor part always sounds goofy when you do that. I've been in the pet food industry for roughly 20 years. Obviously, I have a lot of expensive wallpaper, as you see behind me. I have a master's PhD in canine nutrition. I'm a board-certified companion animal nutritionist. Also board certified with the American College of Nutrition as a fellow. And, a few accolades that go with it. That comes with the territory. Obviously, I am co-founder of Guardian Pet Food Company, the makers of NOBL, and what we're about to talk to you about, Dog Almighty.
Yeah, awesome. I'm very excited to be talking about Dog Almighty and very excited to talk about the vegan bars. So
absolutely.
Before we get into Dog Almighty, let's talk a little bit about the vegan bars.
Sure, absolutely.
The most anticipated product at Bay State is these bars. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it and what happened with the delay?
Yeah, so as you can imagine, with my background and how we do things we discussed last time, I'm not a person that's going to rush things to market. I'm very methodical, want to make sure things are done right, but more importantly, has the data to support it. So with the digestibility trials that we've run, the typical nutrient analysis and everything else. The other part of it is it's a difficult product to run, right? And so wanted to make sure that it got made properly, but more importantly, it hits all the analyticals before it goes out the door. And so even though it is a vegan food, there's issues with running it. It doesn't run like a traditional freeze-dried product, right? Where our current products for meat, if you would imagine, kind of goes through like a hamburger press and off it goes, frozen and then freeze dried. Well, obviously, when I'm not using meat and we don't use binders, we don't use processing aids, we don't use any of the hidden stuff, as you could imagine, making something like we did with the high protein content and everything, it was difficult from a manufacturing standpoint. But we got it right. And more importantly, when we got it right, out the door it went. And so, yeah, it had a slight delay on there, but it was for the right reasons. Not one, like I said, to rush things to the market, especially the way we do things, not only from a transparency standpoint, but like I always talk to you about, I want to be able to sleep at night, right? And that's part of that process. Unfortunately, patience is not a virtue with a lot of people, but in this case, I'm glad a lot of people were, because it ended up turning out to be a great product, and we're actually doing very good in sales with it.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you guys took the time to make sure, because that makes pet parents feel a little bit better about the company as well, knowing that you took the time to make sure that it was perfect before you sent it out. So we're very excited to have it in the store. So let's get right into it. So we got this new stuff in called Dog Almighty. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what Dog Almighty is? Is that still part of your company, or is that a different company?
Yeah, so our company by name is Guardian Pet Food. So we make NOBL Foods, which is a food line, and we make Dog Almighty. They all roll up to Guardian. So If you imagine your, whatever big company, and then they got their house brands, that would be the equivalent. So Dog Almighty is our supplement line. It's bone broth, obviously, as the main character in there. So it comes in 3 flavors: turkey bone broth, chicken bone broth, and then beef bone broth. And then it comes in 2 varieties. One obviously is mobility, and the other is calm. And as you would expect, they have certain supplements in there to go after those attributes, right? And so for mobility, obviously with a bone broth, we play up and we build up on the collagen peptides. And a lot of people are going to say, well, what are collagen peptides? Well, if you think of cartilage and things of that nature, collagen's present. But more importantly, when you look at scientific studies, when you look at intact collagen peptides, they're actually 2 times or better than glucosamine and chondroitin. So you won't see glucosamine and chondroitin in here because we're bringing in natural collagen peptides from each of the bone broths, right? Obviously, it's coming from chicken, beef, or turkey. Then also on there, you'll see L-carnitine for obviously help stimulate fat metabolism, because let's look at reality. Most fat dogs have mobility issues, right? It's usually not the skinny dogs. And then we add vitamin E and C, and then we have manganese in there. Those guys play into, along with the collagen, as far as building up. And so the product is designed, if you think about typical cartilage turnover, you have synthesis and degradation, right? And then what happens is when you get an arthritic mode, or we get old for that matter, the degradation gets higher than the synthesis, right? Now, you can't always change this, but we could try to change the synthesis so you go back to normal turnover, right? And really that's the goal. And then we also add turmeric to it, which is a fun one to add because it's actually a good natural anti-inflammatory ingredient. And more importantly, it's in at a level where dogs will drink it. And so we chose to go in this product form because, as you know, especially with Goldens, they have the ability to do the magical trick of when you put the supplement in a piece of cheese, they eat the cheese and spit out the supplement. Or if you put the powder on the food, they'll eat all the food except the food with the powder. Well, with this, what a lot of people see is, the first day the dog sniffs the bowl and they're like, hey, what's that? And then on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th day, it becomes a treating moment versus a pain point of did they eat the pill? Couple things about this is it is made in a human grade facility. So even though we don't tout that, if you wanted to take a swig, you could. I have as part of the process, just because that's what I do.
As everyone knows, I was kind of weird the last time when I was opening up the treat. I was saying how great it smelled. So I don't know, it might be a little bit tempting.
And if you open it and smell it, literally the chicken will smell like chicken stock. The beef and mushroom will smell like pot roast when you cook it on a Sunday afternoon back in the old days when grandmas and moms did that. Not so much these days. And then obviously turkey smells, like Thanksgiving, that turkey stock. And then with the calm, we add thiamine, we add chamomile and tryptophan. Obviously, they're playing on serotonin receptors, and chamomile gives you that chill out moment. And then obviously ginger to help soothe the stomach. Because obviously when dogs are stressed, just like humans, it translates into physical things as well. And so, calm's good. Obviously, we just missed the window for fireworks time, but didn't miss the window last night for that big thunderstorm that came through, right? Also good for traveling, things of that nature. We recommend the feeding guides are on here. So, for a 25-pound dog, think about this as about 4 days worth. For a 50-pound dog, probably about 2 days. And so the reason we went with smaller cartons with twist tops versus what you traditionally see is because we knew there's consumer pain point of cutting the normal Tetra Paks, and then it's stinking up your fridge, right? So this is just like your muscle milk or vitamin water or coconut water. Screw cap off, screw cap on, stick it in the fridge, pull it out the next day, depending on your dog. Most dogs, unlike cats, they'll drink it cold, so you don't have to warm it up. If your dog's picky, you can. Although we recommend that you put it in an empty bowl to track it, some people will use it as a topper. We can't stop that, right? That's how they do things. But you want to make sure, obviously, they consume what they're supposed to do. And they're both designed to be used every day. So if somebody needed to use it every day for comm, they sure can. Obviously, for mobility, definitely. And like I said, the other thing is too, being that people that are familiar with Tetra Paks, staying with the mantra of real sustainability, not pretend sustainability, right? Just like we went to recycle to packaging on our NOBL bars, these cartons are recyclable through traditional recyclable channels. So, feel free to recycle these just like you do with your muscle milk or protein shakes or whatever your morning routine is.
So you don't do the TerraCycle anymore?
No, we don't. And the reason why we don't.
Good.
And the reason why we don't do TerraCycle, and there's nothing wrong with that program if your packaging is not recyclable, right? Yep. And so what TerraCycle does, and to their credit, is they take packaging that is not recyclable, they take it to wherever, Trenton, depending on the location, and Tom Zaki, the CEO, know him very well. They literally melt the snot out of it until they can make something out of it, whether it be, a parking curb or picnic bench or whatever else. But to me, that's not sustainability, because you know what? Now you, Kevin, the store owner, or me, the consumer, the way you got to participate in that program is by literally printing up a postage stamp, putting it in an envelope, and shipping it there. Well, you know what? Now it's more fossil fuels to ship it there. What about the cost of, sustainability of that envelope and the postage and all that stuff? And literally, TerraCycle is a pay-to-play program. So for argument's sake, you as a company, you pay X dollars per year. It covers you up to a certain amount of recycling. Then after that, you pay for each one. I could put the TerraCycle logo on everything and not participate in the program at all. And so to me, it made more sense to make our products truly recyclable, where you can do it in your normal routine, and you actually know it's being recycled in your local community versus going to wherever. And obviously with that, that's why we went with the Tetra Pak. You'll see, the little recycle logo on there. But more importantly, with Tetra Pak, they're actually part of the Forest Sustainability Coalition. And so for everything that they do with plants, they're planting trees and all that stuff, which is another good thing on the back end of it, which goes beyond us, right? And so that's why we look for players that work, truly, when I say truly sustainable, truly recyclable, if you can put it in your recycling bin or at the one at the local grocery store with your plastic bags, that's recycling. Wait until you got a box of them to send it somewhere and hopefully it gets recycled. That ends up becoming a pain point, and then most people end up just simply throwing it in the regular trash.
Yeah, and like you said, it's nothing against TerraCycle at all. I mean, it's a great program for those companies that aren't recyclable, but it definitely makes it so much easier to be able to just throw it right into your recycling bin. So
absolutely. And we started with TerraCycle, and that's how we started out. And as we learned the packaging industry, and the packaging industry actually moved in the right direction where we didn't have to do minimum runs on stuff like that. We could do digital printing on packaging. So if I wanted 5, I get 5. And it's made out of recyclable packaging. We choose to do that. Obviously, bigger companies aren't going to choose to do that because it's an upcharge. For us, it was a no-brainer. When you're a small company and you're set out to be a B corporation, that is important. When we say we're going to be a B corporation, we're not doing a pay-to-play pet sustainability program. We're saying we're doing it, we're executing it. More importantly, people see it, touch it, smell it, see the logos on there and everything else.
And for anyone who shops at Bay State and knows me, like that's one of the things that I go for when I go to try to find a company that I want to try to recommend is the sustainability and the future outlook of the company. So you guys do a great job with that. You guys are always being innovative, and we're thankful for that. We are very thankful for that.
I appreciate it. And just put it in perspective, it's silly to some people. It's silly that not silly to us is when we went to recycle to packaging, we literally because we were working with a company that was based in Boston, because obviously that's where Jim's based out of and where we're close to. But they had a location 20 minutes away from our manufacturer. So unfortunately, probably hit somebody's sales bonus. But we switched the manufacturing to be 20 minutes away from our food manufacturer, because it cut down on fossil fuels and all that stuff, right? Versus shipping it from the U.S., going across the border and over. We even were open-minded and were looking at ways to execute against that as well. Even our cartons, where they're made and where they get filled, they're only 4 states away from each other in the U.S. And so those are the types of things that, matter to us. And we focus on, the silly Mickey Mouse problems that, a lot of consumers will never see or be able to, talk about or acknowledge or anything like that. And frankly, we don't ask for it. We just do it because it's the right thing to do.
So before I forget again, because I love talking with you, and we just jump right into it every time I talk with you.
Sure. Yeah.
We are giving away some prizes tonight. So just comment the word NOBL in the comment section. We do have a couple of cool prizes that people were asking for on the last NOBL video. So just comment the word NOBL down below. And if you have any questions, obviously comment them as well. And Ryan, I'm sure you don't mind answering questions that are even outside of NOBL. So if anybody has any questions at all, feel free to comment them.
And one thing for the people that do feed NOBL, the last time we talked, right, we talked about things you should ask a company, who formulated it. It was me, right? Is the manufacturer third-party certified? Yes, they are SQF certified. Do we analyze for micro and our actives, the ones we can, obviously, right? Can't analyze for ginger. You go batch sheet records and look at that. But vitamin E, all that stuff, yes, we do analyze it, and it doesn't leave the manufacturer until they hit it. And to shed some light on that, it took a couple of rounds of manufacturing for them to get it right before I let them release it and us go out. So if you remember, these should have came out a little sooner, right?
Yeah.
And that was the rationale with that as well. And so none of that stuff goes away because it's a supplement. We do all the same things that we do for this supplement as we do for the food and the treats as well.
So this is a perfect segue right into it. So before we got the product in, I was going through the website, and I saw a testimonial from a customer of yours who said that they actually are using the mobility one instead of CBD. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about that. Is this actually a replacement for CBD, or should this be used with CBD? How does that work?
So CBD is one of those kind of tricky conversations for me. And the reason being is there's very little information out there on CBD, right? Published information. In fact, what little bit of published information there it's been done by Cornell that shows there's a benefit for arthritis at a certain level, but people need to keep in mind it was that CBD at a certain level. It doesn't mean that it's all CBD, right? Because how you extract it, how you pull it, is it full spectrum? Is it an isolate? And since the industry isn't regulated and they simply say CBD 2 milligrams, you don't know that answer. Is it CBD of isolate A? Is it B? Is it C? Is it D? Is it all of them that combine together? And so when you don't have those things in place, you can't say they are all created equal. Also, there hasn't been longevity studies done on those products, so you don't know the long-term effects. Many of the studies that are out there have actually been done on healthy dogs, right? And that's the other thing you need to keep in mind. Like an AFCO study, they're done on healthy animals. So you don't know if a sick animal is going to have problems with it. You don't know if it's going to interact with medication. So that's the other thing. Make sure a vet knows you're doing CBD with it. And same thing with this. You should always talk to a vet if you have mobility and anxiety issues. But there's some retailers that are starting to see that CBD actually interacts with gabapentin. God forbid your dog's on gabapentin for anxiety, right? So what we chose to go down a route with ingredients and things that we know work and actually have data to support it, right? We all know the benefits of bone broth. Well, now I'm guaranteeing you levels of collagen peptides because I know they work better than glucosamine and chondroitin. I knew turmeric works for anti-inflammatory and things of that nature. And so we put together a product that goes after the benefits that you want for mobility. And like I said, right, we're focusing on synthesis, not necessarily pain, which is what CBD is trying to go after. And when companies don't have data or understand what are the proper dosing for that type of stuff, it's hard to tell. That product, you don't know. I don't know what she was feeding, right? I can't argue the testimonial for or against to say, hey, we're better or not, because I don't know what she was feeding. The fact that it worked and it was a replacement and she sees the benefits, not surprising, but where she came from, what she was doing, how she was doing it, obviously I can't talk to that. So I'll never say something is a replacement for something because I don't know what you were doing beforehand, right? But obviously in the situation that they're doing, and the dog is actually drinking our supplement and you're seeing the physical changes, and we see that a lot, not just with CBD, but before we actually entered the marketplace, unlike a lot of supplement companies, we did in-home use testing, right? And what a lot of people don't realize is when people put out supplements, that you don't have to test. You don't have to do the questions I told you about dog food that should apply for supplements, right? Those aren't requirements, but we do that stuff because it's in my DNA, right? I'm an R&D geek, and that's what I do. So the feedback that we're getting, obviously, is unsolicited. And we wanted it to be, but we got a lot of that feedback in the people that we were giving it to literally for free and said, hey, tell us, hey, does your dog like it? And then, tell us what your feedback is. And obviously we knew we were on to something and had something right at that point of time.
Yeah, perfect. No, and I tell people that all the time too, because with CBD, people don't fully understand like what the difference is between CBD and THC and hemp extract, and it's a lot for people to try to understand. So you might as well go with something that you do understand that isn't too confusing. And this, the ingredients in this are easy to read.
It's goof proof in that sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the reality of it is that, that's an evolving industry. I personally will not formulate with CBD because FDA says it's a drug.
Yep.
I mean, no ands, ifs, or buts about it. You go on their website, it's a drug, right? And I don't care what anybody tries to tell you. They say it's a drug. And lots of times when I talk to a retailer and I say, hey, how many veterinarians are prescribing CBD? The answer is none. Well, why? Because the FDA hasn't said it's approved for use in dogs and cats, and right now it's looked at as a drug for humans. Well, then you bring up, okay, well, if they're not allowed to use CBD off-label, on-label, whatever, right, then why can retailers sell it? And usually that's where retailers have the, perplexed look on their face. And then I asked the question, better yet, does your insurance company for your store know that you're selling it, and are you covered? Yeah. And that's when people get even more perplexed. And so CBD is just one of those goofy topics where, certain people will tell you it's great, it's approved in all 50 states. The answer is no, it's not. Right? It might be approved in a handful of states for dogs. It's not in Massachusetts. If it's approved in Connecticut, and it was in Massachusetts, if I drove it from Massachusetts to Connecticut, now it's a federal crime because the FDA is involved, right? Because I went interstate commerce. And so there's a lot of complex situations with it. Never mind the fact of, are you getting what you think you're getting? Which if you look at the last Leaf report that just came out, I think they said 50% hit the numbers and the other 50 didn't, which, they might be right. They might not be right. I don't know. But what they did pick up is some people were saying it was full spectrum, right? So you should be picking up the antioxidants in there, and they weren't. So if it's full spectrum, where did the antioxidants go? And so it's just, it's a gray area. Obviously, there's a few good guys that are leading by example, but unfortunately, it's a very gray market at this point. And so, like I tell people, buyer beware.
So let's talk one more time about the Dog Almighty. I just have one more quick question.
Absolutely.
So is it safe to mix both the calm and the mobility? So like if they did the calm in the morning before they went to work, and then they did the mobility at night, you know, because that's when the dog gets a little bit achy. Is that okay for them to be able to do something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at the ingredients, the only guy that's going to be duplicative is obviously the broth, right? And we know dogs will drink the crap out of broth, right? Especially as a topper or whatever else. But as long as you're following it, there's no, I'll call commingling of supplements.
Yeah.
So you're not doubling up on something. And so yeah, that's fine to do.
And
good question.
Yeah, and you said it's okay to use as a top, right? You know, you said you really should do it separately, but
you should do it separately. But yeah, I mean, the reality of it is people are going to do what they do, right? Yeah. And the key is to make sure as a supplement, you know, that 4 tablespoons or 8, if they're depending on the size, you know, if they're licking the bowl clean, they can ensure it's getting it. Awesome. What we say, ideally, you want to put it in an empty bowl before you give them their bowl of water each day, right? Don't mix it with the water because you don't know if it's getting it. Obviously, they're diluting it out. Now you're expecting them, they got to drink the whole bowl of water. But as long as you're making sure they're getting it all in, that's the important part of it.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions that I have for you. Doesn't look like anyone else has any further questions. So we do have this stuff on our website already, even though we just got it in. It is up there and it's ready. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick.
And for those of you who missed out on the beautiful display behind me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's talk about that.
Kevin's got one of these in his store. So if you're looking for either the single bars, you want to try the vegan, you'll see vegan individual bars in here. And then obviously you'll see the Dog Almighty. And I'm assuming it's by your register. And there you go. So look for that guy when you go in the store. So it's a quick grab for you. And obviously we also have the chicken variety. Those showed the beef and the beef and turkey in that one. But I'm having a little bit of brain fart there. But yeah, we got a third flavor. So if your dog's picky, obviously find a flavor that works for you. And, you know, feel free to comment and, you know, say hello sometime.
I'm still trying to pull this up. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, so we got all the stuff. Oh, there it is. There it is. All the elixirs are up. And they're
looking good.
Awesome.
And I don't know if you're going to Super Zoo, are you?
We weren't planning on going to Super Zoo.
All right. Well,
we were thinking about it originally, but I really.
Then I'll have to wait till after Super Zoo. So we're launching some cool new products there.
Oh, really? Some new stuff, huh?
Absolutely. So
I'll have to get you booked for a future one then. We can talk about that. It would have been nice to finally meet you too, you know?
Yeah, definitely. We could probably do one live now that the COVID crud's over and we're all vaccinated and stuff. We could probably do it in person.
Yeah, that'd be great. Do you guys go to the Pet Expo in Florida too?
Yeah. That's last year was where we first kicked off the new branding of NOBL. And we actually, in theory, launched our vegan bar then. And we actually, through Business Insider, they chose us as the top innovation from Global Pet in the pet food category for that product.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. Definitely was a curveball because, as you know, in the raw freeze-dried category, to bring something in that's vegan is counterintuitive and counterculture. But there's lots of obviously GI benefits and animal food intolerance benefits and things of that nature. And so, it did get recognized for that. And yeah, we had unfortunately, COVID hit, so we couldn't roll with it, but it gave us time to button up everything right for the vegan bar. So yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Congratulations on everything. You guys are doing great as a company. You guys are still small, but you're making quite a splash out there. So
we're trying, and obviously you got people like Lucas that that help us out, and when he's there, make sure everybody comes and says hi to him. He's usually there. You could probably, sucker him up for a free mug or something like that. So whenever
we're
he's
actually
there
going to be doing some demos. Lucas said he's going to do some demos at the store, so we're very excited about that as soon as we have that going, because the NOBL bars, they go like crazy. Dogs love them. I still haven't had a single dog that has turned its nose to a NOBL bar. So
that's the goal. And and if you think about it, with even the vegan one, we don't add any palatants, right? And so that's the beauty of what we're doing, and that's why it takes a while for us to dial in on stuff, because we want to make sure we stay true to our our heritage and our pedigree and our pets before profits mentality. We hold ourselves true to it. And next time he's out there doing demos, Lucas does give out free hugs. So if anybody wants one. But yeah, make sure you talk to him, learn more about NOBL, learn more about him, and you can ask him any question. He knows everything about our company and us, totally in depth. We folded him in pretty quickly, and he's one of the NOBL guys now. So
maybe we can convince him to come on a live stream one day.
Absolutely. We could convince him to do that.
Yeah, the three of us can talk about pet food. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Too, so
especially his background, how long he's been in industry on distribution and sales. Yeah, he would be a fountain of knowledge as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ryan. As always, we appreciate it. We'll definitely have to book you for another one in the future.
Absolutely.
And stay safe, all right?
Yeah, you do the same. Thanks again for having me.
Well, thank you, everyone. We really appreciate it as always. So this video is going to be running until midnight tonight. So you can comment NOBL in the comment section for your free gift. And what the gifts are going to be is we got a couple of NOBL mugs again. Everyone loved them. We got a couple of them. So comment NOBL. Thank you as always. And I will see you guys next week. Nope.